Okay, week 10. When I first started this project, scribbled down a couple different ideas of ways to try and keep things a little bit fresh, keep things a little bit different, because I had a sense that 30 songs, 30 weeks was probably going to get stale, probably going to go off the rails. So, one of the items on the list was to attempt to write a song using the piano. I cannot play the piano. I can just kind of eke by a little bit if it's in a familiar key and it's a slow ballad and I can do one hand at a time. I definitely cannot sing and play piano at the same time. So the idea of writing a song on the piano was always kind of prohibited by my inability to play it better. But I thought, I might as well go for it, see what happens. Worst thing that will happen is I don't get a song out of it. Maybe it's worse if I get a terrible song out of it. So I'm not sure whether or not what has happened is the worst case scenario. We can talk a little bit more about how it came to be. Let's give it a listen first. So here it is, song number 10, With a Bullet, Scared to Death of Living.
The sun is slowly setting, it's still bright outside. I'm battling my boredom based in bed. The light invades the sanctum where I'm trying to hide. I while away the dread while burying my head. My heart stops beating every time I think of you. So far it's always started up again. I hobble through my hovel drinking devious brew mixed with some medicine, then soon oblivion. I think I'm scared to death of living. I'm scared of slowly growing old. That's why I'm scared to death of living. I'd rather die before my time than live to see the end unfold. The table fan recirculates recycled air and filibusters hypnagogic drifts. When madness breaks and takes me, will I be aware or prone to feckless fits, habitudinous? I think I'm scared to death of living. I'm scared of slowly growing old. That's why I'm scared to death of living. I'd rather die before my time than live to see the end unfold. The layers of unconsciousness befriending me contribute to the dream symposium. Crescendos to a discordant cacophony, then fades down to a hum, a hallowed hollow drum. The worst is yet to come.
So, full disclosure, I cannot play the piano. I didn't completely write the song on the piano. The way it actually happened is I wrote the very first phrase of music that you hear, da 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 da, just that bit on the guitar, and messed about with it for a minute or two, and then thought, this might sound pretty good on the piano. And then I went over to the piano and transcribed it to the piano. And from there, I thought, well, maybe this will be the song I write on piano. So technically, I did use the guitar a little bit for this. Sue me, I guess. All that really means is maybe I'll give another try to write a piano song before this project's done. We'll see. I'm not going to race to that because this song posed some really interesting challenges. I can't play piano and sing at the same time, which really affects my ability to write if I'm trying to iterate. And I think the end result is the melody and the lyrics don't quite match up with the piano part the way they sort of did in my head. And I could never really get to that point, until I'd actually gotten a chance to record the piano part and then try to sing over top of it. And then I realized, oh, this doesn't really quite go together as well as I thought it would. Just enough to get on my nerves. The song just kind of became a very different sort of a song lyrically than what I typically do. So shortly after kind of transcribing the guitar part to the piano and then coming up with some parts, and then on the second day, I took a stab at a draft of lyrics. So I was encouraged at first when the first draft of lyrics came out very quickly. I felt productive, and when I came back the next morning to revisit what I had done, I discovered that in fact the first draft was much worse than I thought it was. Maybe it's not terrible, but it isn't the direction I initially wanted the song to go. The song is trying to be about that I'm doing a very poor job at growing up. I'm dealing with it by not dealing with it. I thought I would just go through the original draft and you can hear how terrible it was and then get a sense for how far the song came and also see some similarities. There are some lines and things that carried from the first draft to the end. My mind is wide awake, my body's fast asleep. I know there's something lurking in the night. Oof. Tried everything from sleeping pills to counting sheep, but nothing makes it right until the morning light. Ugh. Okay, you can see why this verse went away. My heart stops beating every time I think of you. That stayed. Sometimes I think it won't start up again. Get up and pace around, and then I drink a few mixed with some medicine and then oblivion. Man, I went through a lot of different versions of this chorus, and they're all bad. I think I'm scared to death of living. And what if life puts up a fight? I think I'm scared to death of living. That's why I let myself die every night. Ugh. 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 I feel terrible even admitting that I wrote that on paper. Ugh. So the really depressing part is that there were much worse versions. Like this is a version that, while bad, was good enough to bother writing down. I just want you to keep that in your head. The table fan is circulating filthy air and lending background noise to my descent. When madness finally takes me, will I be aware or will I just relent? Another malcontent. The corner of my mind has voices barely heard. I don't know where those thoughts are coming from. I concentrate but can't make out a single word. It fades into a hum. My arm is going numb. The worst is yet to come. Definitely some improvements from that draft to the final version that you hear, at least in my opinion. Didn't quite make it there, I think. I'm a little bit down on the song because it was just a real slog. Begging the muse to help me come up with a better chorus, and it never really gelled the way I wanted it to. A song that's that difficult to write, tends to sour my experience on the song. I want songwriting to be easy. Anyway, that's what we have for song number 10. Next week I'm going to shake things up again in another way. I guess you'll have to stay tuned to see whether or not that works out. Until then.